When people hear the term power of attorney, they often think it's just a one-size-fits-all document. It's going to give someone all the authority to handle really anything and everything that happens if someone becomes incapacitated. But in reality, you actually need two separate power of attorneys. We'll tell you why coming up next. Welcome in. This is Complete Estate Planning. Glad to have you with us once again on the show. If you're on YouTube, thanks for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on podcasts, like many people do, we'd love to have you come join us on YouTube as well, so you can see Nick's beautiful face. How are you today?
Oh, doing good. How about yourself? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. And we're approaching the summer. You guys have any big plans this summer?
Not much for the summer. We went on a vacation already. It was the week before Easter because my 6-year-old his kindergarten class, they had spring break, so we decided, he's going to be off for the week, so it would be a dumb idea for one of us, my wife or I, to take the week off with him and then take another week off a few weeks later. So we went down to Florida for a week already, so we already got our vacation out of the way. Didn't get to golf or anything because I hate traveling by plane with golf clubs. We were efficient. It was everyone gets a carry-on and a backpack only, and you get and we are doing a direct flight, and we're going to get in and out and minimize all of the potential plane issues. And
your kids are old enough now to kind of manage their own bags, right? So you don't have 4 backpacks and 3 rolling bags, do you?
Well, see, you would think that, and you would be wrong. So my kindergartner, my 6-year-old Adam, he's got his backpack, but my 3-year-old still needs help, and so what it was is, like my wife would be in charge of like holding my 3-year-old's hand. My 6-year-old would kind of take his own backpack, and I would do all 4 of the carry-ons. I do the 3 rolling bags and the 1 duffel that I put on top of it. I actually did a really good job of carrying 2 backpacks and 4 carry-ons all by myself. So
dad strength.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But it ended up being fun. So we got through that. So this summer is hopefully, we got our baseball season, and just hopefully golfing and being outside. My 6-year-old, they have, I don't know if you've ever heard, it's called PGA Junior League. So it's a little kids thing that's nationwide in different courses. It's like a little 3-man scramble, and they'll just play 9 holes, matches from like 100 yards in. And so it's all, I guess you could call it competition, but it's more, kids having fun. So he's excited for that, and he's going to have to learn to backpack his own clubs. Dad's not carrying them. There's no cart, so he's going to have to put some muscle on him. But yeah, I'm really just hoping for some nice weather, less rain. Being able to be outside. But I'm also beefing up my sunscreen pile, and I'm looking into some UV clothing, because when we were down at the beach, it hit me because I actually went on a walk one day and I put on a real light hoodie, and I got sunburnt. Got sunburnt wearing a hoodie. And yes, I'm pale, awesome. But that's still really impressive, I think. And some guy was telling me, not all clothes have UV protection. And he said the people who do it right. And again, I'm not a fisher. I don't know if fishing's your thing, but apparently the fishermen, they have this figured out. They have like UV clothing that's very lightweight, but provides complete protection from the sun. So that's what we're working on this year. I'm going to get a bunch of fishing clothes to take golfing, basically.
I love it. And at the pool, it'll come in handy. You'll make use out of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
And cutting the grass and doing the yard work.
Yeah, baseball probably too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When I'm not beaming, a bunch of 6-year-olds and making them cry while pitching to them. So
Well, good stuff. Well, we hope you have a good summer, and looking forward to the next few months of some good weather. And I know we got a conversation today. I think that a lot of things we talk about here are stuff that you're discussing in the office day to day, and this is kind of that same thing, right? It's a question that comes up maybe more than you'd expect. I think a lot of people just assume one power attorney is enough, but that's not true, is it?
No, there's two very distinct types of power of attorney, and one of them, and it makes sense because they're totally different jobs, right? There's a financial legal affairs, so like a financial property power of attorney. And then this one, by the way, there's like 4 different terms for it. So there's financial power of attorney. You can also call it, property power of attorney, durable power of attorney, general power of attorney, durable general power of attorney. All of these are handling financial or legal affairs. So sign checks, pay bills, go to the bank, file taxes, sell the house. And then there's the medical decision. So the healthcare power of attorney, medical power of attorney, healthcare proxy, depending on the states, what they call it. But obviously, this is also appointing someone to make decisions on your behalf if you can't make them for yourself, but a totally different type of decision. So medical decisions, accessing medical records and your health care and things like that. So, and you understand why, and we'll talk in a second how they're why they're two separate documents, but we are not talking about similar batches of decisions or responsibility. I would argue sign checks, pay bills, file taxes, and talk to the doctor about artificial life support or what have you are on opposite ends of the the spectrum as far as decision making. I think they could not be more dissimilar from each other. But yeah, so there are 2 of them. They are very distinct, and they are not like it is not a one general power of attorney that is all encompassing. It's 2 very distinct jobs.
Okay, so financial and health. Why are there 2 separate powers of attorney? I mean, I think obviously on the surface, the way you kind of set that up, it seems self-explanatory. But why can't one person handle everything?
So one person could handle everything, but you would have to assign both of those jobs to them independently. So you will have, obviously, it's different areas of responsibility, different skill sets, and then you have. So beyond that, obviously there is the benefit of assigning someone to handle each of these tasks. And what if it's not the same person? Okay, so it's very realistic that you could have someone who's really good with signing checks and handling the bills, but is not good at handling medical. Okay, so why would you force yourself to have one person handle a job they're good at, but also if you have a doctor in the family, you don't get to utilize them for that. Second, from a legal standpoint, there's specific rules that you need to tiptoe around. So doctors, hospitals, medical providers have very specific language, very specific requirements for making decisions. A lot of this is statutory as well, so it's in the law. Each state has rules on what their medical decision makers are allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, what they can be granted the ability to do only if the decision maker gives specific authority. So there's a lot of things that have to be tiptoed around. And then on the flip side, you'll have the financial institutions. So, the IRS, bank, investment company, the title agency if you're selling the car, or the realtor and the land records if you're selling the house. You have a whole different set of rules that you have to tiptoe around as far as fraud prevention and needing distinct documentation and rules and permissions and limitations on what someone can do, handling money, investments, tax, contractual matters, things like that. And just frankly putting all of it in one superpower of attorney or like super or mega document, if you will. One, it would be overly complex. And to be frank with you, my guess is the hospitals would reject it, say, we're not honoring this. The banks wouldn't honor it. The IRS wouldn't honor it. So it's not, even if I could draft something that would cover everything and I wouldn't miss anything, there's no, the bank would take one look at it and say, no way, this is too broad. We need our piece right here and kind of keep all the noise out of it. And my guess is the doctors or hospitals would as well. So you need both. If you just have one of them, don't feel like you are covered. Like I was actually, what prompted this, I was talking to someone earlier this week. He said, I need power of attorney for my father. Okay, great. What's the situation? Well, dad's getting older. He's fine, but he doesn't get around much. And so like, I can't make decisions. Like I need to be able to go to the bank, make decisions for him so I don't have to load him into the car. And I asked him, I said, are you looking for the ability to handle financial, like sign checks, pay bills, file taxes for him? Or are you wanting to be able to make medical decisions on his behalf if he's sick or if he's not able to do so for himself? And then he had the long pause, and the guy said, oh, I didn't think about that. I need all of it. Can I not do all that at once? And I said, well, unfortunately, you need both of these. Now, you can still be given both jobs. Ben, this is not something where I have to pick different people for the medical or the financial, but having a power of attorney, I do not want you to feel, false confidence that you are covered because you are only handling one half of this regardless. So you need to make sure both of your bases are covered.
Okay. Well, you've kind of touched on a little bit about what role and responsibilities go with each financial and health, but kind of getting that a little bit more about what actually do these two roles cover?
Yeah, well, so I'll start backwards here because I think the medical or the healthcare power of attorney is making medical decisions on your behalf if you can't make them for yourself. So talk to doctors, treatment decisions, and I guess approving or declining treatment, surgeries, medications if you can't do that. And again, a lot of these are very sad, very grim situations on the medical side, but if someone's in a coma or had a stroke or has Alzheimer's, and then the doctor says, hey, we could try this surgery. It's really risky. It might save things, but it also might make things worse. What do you want to do? And if you are not, mentally able to make those decisions for yourself, you need someone to step in and say, here's what we're going to do to take care of mom, take care of dad. If we need to move to a different facility, sign them, sign them into like long-term care, rehab, a hospital, things like that. And then obviously end of life decisions as well. So artificial life support, things like that when the end is near. And obviously you're sitting there thinking about how awful this could be if someone doesn't have this side of the coin covered. So if no one's authorized, decisions can't be made. Decisions won't be made by the right person. There'll be a lot of delays, or there's something where a decision needs to be made, but the doctors, they either have to make the decision themselves, or if they have like a default, here's what we do, they may be forced to do something that is not in your best wishes because there's no legal authority for anyone else to step up and make decisions. And I like to define that first because the financial or property power of attorney, the real short version is everything else. So non-medical power of attorney, if you will. Sign checks, pay bills, withdraw from the retirement account, pay mortgage, pay rent, renew your Allstate insurance, work with the financial advisor, if we need to sell the car, sell the house, file the taxes, file for Social Security, select a Medicare plan, cancel your cable bill, or at least call them and say, hey, you jacked my rate up from $50 a month to $350. someone needs to be able, and Ben, you know how that works. I don't even know what cable company that you use, but I think all of them do that same garbage. And if you can't do that for yourself, you need this to give someone the legal ability to do that on your behalf. And then obviously, you know why this is a problem if that can't be done. Okay, so if we can't pay the bills, if we can't file the taxes, if we can't sell the car, sell the house, refinance the mortgage, I mean, these are all things that need to be done. And as long as you can do them for yourself, that's great. But when you can't do them for yourself because you're, unavailable, you can't get around or have medical problems, that does not mean the responsibilities go away. Okay, we still need someone who's able to do it. Okay, so again, that's a little more detail on that, but you see why these jobs are not the same. Quite the opposite. One of them's way over here, one of them's way over here. And I'll be honest with you, in my own family, I told my parents, I'll handle the finances, the legal affairs if you'd like. It's what I do for a living. But I told them, I said, I don't want to handle medical. I don't like it. I don't like blood. I don't like needles. I don't like hospitals. I hate all of that. I said, pick someone else to handle medical. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. And I'm not educated in it. Okay. So I think it allows you to pick the right person for the right job instead of just having to rely on one person and hope that they have 5 different areas of expertise that,
Right.
that are not similar to each other.
Well, that's perfect kind of segue to our next kind of part of this conversation, because I think a lot of people now maybe realize, okay, I need the right person in these 2 separate roles. So how do you go about that? What advice or kind of guidance would you give someone that's trying to find the right person to fit each of these powers of attorney?
Yeah, well, so a couple things, and again, we've already hit on this, but understand that there are 2 different distinct powers of attorney that need to be taken care of. So your checklist should have get the medical one taken care of, get the financial one taken care of. It is not a one ring to rule them all power of attorney. And I like to tell people, once you realize that you have 2 things to accomplish here, I tell people basically have amnesia when you are when you're choosing the right decision makers. And look, Ben, for all of our jobs here, obviously we've talked about this before, pick the right person for the right job, but I would have amnesia between the 2 of them. I would sit down, look at who's the best to handle the financial or property power of attorney, who's next best, who's third best, right? And then I don't know if you've seen Men in Black, but if our listeners or watchers remember when they do the little pen with the light,
Yeah.
and then you just completely forget about everything. That's what I would do. And then I would say, forgetting about what we picked for financial power of attorney, who's best to make medical decisions, who's next best. And look, if the same people are truly the best for both jobs, great. I'm fine with that. But if your best medical and your best financial are different people, do it. Okay, I would not link them to each other. If they happen to be the same person, that's a happy accident. But I'd rather have inconsistency if I have the right person for each job. So that's what I would do, and I would not have one of them. Don't feel obligated that you have to pick the same for each one. Okay, it's just pick the right person for the job and do the same for the other. Don't have them intersect unless you truly have the best person for finance and the best person for medical happen to be the same.
Makes sense. All right, let's finish it out then with any pitfalls, anything you need to be aware of. Nick, I know there's always some things that maybe people don't have top of mind or just don't know about. So educate us on those before we get out of here.
Yeah, well, obviously the first one, which we've already hit on, and I spoke with someone earlier this week, which is why we're talking about it. I need a power of attorney, singular. Nope. We need to have both financial and medical, and also need to make sure that they're up to date. And then again, this is something, kind of a little different. We've touched on this in the past. I'm still married, so my spouse automatically can make decisions for me. and again, we've talked about this before, but that's not necessarily true. It's not because we're married, I don't have to have a power of attorney. They, by law, are my default power of attorney. No, you need to have the proper documentation in place for all of that. And then the other one here, it's a little different, not legal advice per se, but I've had people who say, well, if I pick this person, then their little brother's feelings will be hurt, or I think they'll be upset if I don't choose them. And that's a real concern. And I don't like to discount or blow off the fact that we don't, that someone could be annoyed or upset by this. That's absolutely true. And I tell people, I say, look, the family more than I do. Okay, I'm here to go over options, but I can't tell you the family dynamic. I have to rely on you for that. But at the same time, I'd still pick the right person for the job. And if it is not the appropriate family member, so what? I'd rather have someone who's willing to do the right job and will get things handled and make sure you're taken care of. And then I think feelings, if you will, come second. Now, I think a good way around that is to have a conversation. I talk to everyone and say, look, this is not a slight on anyone. This is not an insult on anyone. It's a job. Okay, this is not the power of attorney gets all the money. No, we're not talking about the inheritance. And practically speaking, Ben, if it were me, I would be very happy and grateful if someone said, Nick, I am not going to burden you with that. I'm going to dump that job on someone else. I think people have it backwards by saying they'll be mad if they are not given the job. I said, no, if you've ever had to do this, it's not fun. It's a thankless job. I am so happy that when I am not medical power of attorney for someone, okay, I'm actually a little mad if you make me have to do that. So I think, but again, we still need to get the job done. Okay. Yeah. So again, we got two different types, which we've already talked about. You need to do them. It is not something where I'm married or I have a child or there are circumstances where they already are granted this authority by default. No, you need to make sure you have all your ducks in a row. Pick the right person for each job, but understand each job is totally different. Okay, so it's better to have all your ducks in a row on the front end. And again, talk with a specialist, someone who does this all day and is familiar with your laws in your state and your jurisdiction, and they can walk you through the best way to do it.
Yeah, that's so important. If you want to get in touch with Nick, if you're in Ohio, you can do so at 513-463-6789 or learn more at CincinnatiEstatePlan.com. You can schedule a time to sit down and meet with Nick if you have not covered these bases, or you just you're ready to start planning, you're ready to start building that plan, or have any other specific questions. Please reach out. We always appreciate hearing from people. I know we like to feature mailbag questions here on the show as well, so we'll do that in future episodes. Leave a comment, leave a question, and please subscribe to the channel. Nick, thanks for the time as always. We'll talk again soon.
Yep, we'll see you next week.
Are you feeling overwhelmed by estate planning? The process can seem complex, but it doesn't have to be. The Rosenbauer Law Office is dedicated to helping you protect what matters most: your family, your assets, and your peace of mind. Nick and the team will guide you through every step of the process, making sure you feel confident and informed along the way. Take the first step toward peace of mind today. Schedule an introductory call by clicking the link in the description of today's show.
This show is for informational purposes only and does not provide any legal advice. Information on this show may not constitute the most up-to-date legal information. Please do not act or refrain from acting based solely on anything you hear on this show. This show does not form any attorney-client relationship with the Rosenbauer Law Office, LLC. Please seek the counsel of a qualified attorney before addressing your own estate planning needs.